Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to join us and double check that my audio is working. Okay. I'd love to open up the live stream by everyone commenting. One, if you can hear me correctly. I'm testing out a new mic today. Might be a little bit more clear for you. And say what school you're from, what organization you're from, what you're hoping to learn today. Today's training is on zeroing in on your marketing budget. I know we're all busy planning for next year in between the busyness of term 4. And we had a few chat with our clients already, so I thought this is the perfect timing to take a deep dive. I'm just going to open up the stream here and just make sure that everyone can hear me. Yes, I'd love for you to, comment in the chat. We'd love for you to also hit subscribe on the YouTube channel and follow our YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed, that'd be great. So I'll just wait for a few people to let me know where they're from, and then we can get started. Just comment in the chat where you're from. I'll make sure all the settings of the stream are correct. Hi, Nicole. I hope you're doing well. Christian Education National. And the microphone's working well. Woohoo! I'll try not to lean over it too much. Bunbury Cathedral Grammar School. Hi, I don't know if I've seen you on a live stream before. Hi, Claire. Great. I'm happy that you can hear me. If you have any questions that you'd like me to address, you can type it in the chat as we go, and I'll try and stop every now and then just to address them. Otherwise, type them as you go. Hi, Lucinda. Lovely to hear from you. I haven't seen your face in a while. Love to say hello to you again at some point. Welcome to the training. Hi, Susie from Bridgie Dean. She's just down the road from me and such a lovely person. Okay. Hi, Susie. Okay. So as I said before, it's officially planning season. Term 4 is super busy. I've warned my team. Everyone is just nutting out hard work at the moment just to get things done for term 4. It's the term where we have everything colliding to that end of term date, that last day of term where we have to get everything done and wrapped up, and then also focus on our marketing for next year. So I'd like to take a deep dive. I've had a few clients ask me, where should we be spending our money for next year? What should we be doing? How should we change things up? And so I'll be jumping in. Hi, Mandy, from Dynamic Learning College, a beautiful school. Hi, Jessica. My old people's eyesight is really sticking out. I'm going to have to squint at the screen. But hi, Jessica. Jess and Joe from Thomas Carr College. I'm not sure if you've joined us before. Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at when talking about zeroing in on your marketing budget is really just taking a step back and asking ourselves, where are we at in our marketing life cycle, and where are we at in terms of the maturity of our marketing, and what are we trying to achieve? I've also got St. Gregory's College, Melissa Watts from St. Gregory's College. Welcome to the training. So I've worked with every possible marketing maturity phase, from like new colleges just launching through to, we have a waiting list for the next 3 years and we're in maintenance mode, and we just need to keep doing what we're doing with excellence and keep that awareness and brand up to scratch. So, so the first type of school that we'll be working with is that awareness phase. Sometimes you may be working in a small college that had like zero marketing infrastructure before you started, and you really are just coming in and putting in foundation steps that could have been there 20 years ago, but there's been no intentional effort for the school, and you're there catching up for them. So you're either trying to catch up. You're finding a lot of the comments on your inquiry forms when people come in and say, "Oh, I didn't even know you were here." And that just hearing those words makes you cringe as a marketer. And it's like, please just get people to stop saying that, please. And so you're working hard to get people to stop saying that. And then also new campuses, new schools, and that sort of thing. The next sort of phase is when you're in a growth phase. You're actively looking for enrollments and you want them in seats like next week, if possible. And so you either have opened up new streams and new classrooms, or you're expanding campuses, or you just have that deficit and you're in a very competitive market and you're trying to grow your enrollments. And so that's probably where I have the most experience. That's where the schools that I worked at previously were at. And then you're in brand building. So you either want to start addressing misconceptions about your school. So you're finding that people are considering your college, but they're not actually ending up enrolling, or they're considering you amongst a lot of competitors. Or you just want to you have specific messages that you want to build in your local community for your school, and you want to keep that justification for your fees going, and you want to really communicate your value messages to your audiences. And so you'd be in the brand building phase. Hi, Oxford Falls Grammar. Hi, Selena. Lovely to have you on the training. And then the next one is retention. So you may be getting a lot of inquiries into your, in your day-to-day marketing, and your registrar is getting a lot of day-to-day inquiries, but you're finding that you have a retention issue, especially for some schools or more regional schools. They do tend to struggle with the upper year levels. And so it may also be that you have specific gaps in specific year levels where you're finding that you're losing your enrollments to speciality schools, or special offerings for your more senior students. Or sometimes you may be struggling to retain students from kindy to year one or prep. And so you just need to work on that in your marketing. And then the next one is like you're in maintenance mode. So you're strong, you have that daily interest, but you just want to keep on doing what you're doing well, and you don't want to lose your position in the market. So you're not pushing, tour booking, or like open events, but you really just want to maintain that healthy perception of your college in the local community. So I want you to just have a think about where your college is at, which one are you, and to comment in the comments which one you are. And you may be a mixture of, a few of these, or in between phases here. But what's the main, if you had to give one word to where your college is, what would that be? I'd love for you to comment in the chat which one you are. So as we go through today's training, what I'll do is I'll continuously be referring back to this, because, the phase that you're at really depends on where and how you spend your marketing budget and where you prioritize your spend. And so I'll be referring back to these phases throughout the training today. Let me just double check the chat. Okay. So I'd love for you to comment where you're at. There's a little bit of a lag between when I speak and when it actually plays out. So just allow some space for the live stream to catch up with where I'm at. So the first thing I want to say, in terms of deciding where to spend our money, is to get our ratios right. And so when you look at most budgets for schools, the spend typically falls into a number of categories. So Susie says she's in the growth phase, as are junior stream next year, opening up a new junior stream. Great. And you're in a lovely location to do that, Susie. Um, okay, let me just see. St. Gregory's College, we would be brand building for our senior school and both broadening our day school and maintenance for our junior school. So you have a few focus areas. Mandy, she has a few different areas of focus, but awareness at some of our campuses. Great. Lucinda, we had growth for primary school. What we found is that at the end of last year, we found a lot of schools were looking comfortable. And this year, there's been a bit of a dip again in all of those year levels that were kind of secure and like sorted, and you didn't have to worry about them. Well, things changed up a little bit this year, and we're finding that, oh, wait, we need to do a push again. So that's typical. Don't worry if that's happening in your school. It is just the market responding to all the, life pressures. And a challenge that can be overcome. So Jessica says brand building and awareness for our school, and it's still young, and there have been misconceptions. So the big thing about addressing misconceptions is that you don't know what you don't know sometimes, and sometimes people assume that everything is healthy. But the unfortunate, unless you're both a parent in the school that you work at, but sometimes we can have blind spots as school marketers, and we don't know what we don't know, and so people may not be considering us, and yeah, we don't know why. Yeah, cost of living. Lucinda says cost of living is having a significant impact. Oh, no, I did do that. Sorry, I don't know why my camera turned off on me. Um, okay. So, yeah, so as I said, Lucinda said cost of living is having a significant impact. And Bundaberg Cathedral Grammar School said brand building for the boarding, which is also, so I see you have different focus areas and things that you want to achieve for those different areas. Okay, so let's get the ratios right in terms of what our business, if we have 100% of our budget, what ratios should we be allocating where? So first of all, our working budget should be 60% of what makes up our budget. And so this should be the heavy lifting. And often when we inherit a budget or we started a new role, we may actually see there's very little wiggle room in our budget. Things are set in stone. You have previous commitments, and there's very little wiggle room for you to say yes and no to things. And you'll find that you're actually, yes, you have 100% of a budget, but your decision making only really pertains to that 20% that you can wiggle around with and change. And so our goal should be able to get to a budget to a place where you can have wiggle room, you can change things around, you actually have the say on where it's going, and therefore when you're reporting on it, you are the one that's accountable for where that money went, and you can change it according to what your preferences are. Okay, so our working budget is what I call the working budget, is a budget that's going towards actual marketing. So it's money that's going towards getting bums on seats and getting your brand out there. I'm just going to double check why this camera is turning off for me. Oi. Am I back on? Looks like I am. Okay, hopefully my camera will focus on me and not keep on switching off. So our working budget should be at least 50 to 60% of our budget, of our make up 50 to 60% of our budget. And this is everything from advertising spend, money going towards search engine optimization, your Google ads, your Meta ads, your LinkedIn advertising, programmatic advertising, magazines, and billboards. So this is your working budget. This is the budget that's, when you report on return on ad spend, this is the budget that you're reporting on. And I'd like to try and keep it at least 50 to 60% of your budget. And then you get so the collateral. So collateral is it should be around 20% of your budget. And this is the things that are it's like needed infrastructure. Like, you can't go to a marketing event and not have brochures or a marquee or a prospectus. And so the things that make up your collateral spend are video production. Very often it would be things like video production, photography, brochures, promotional items like cups and lanyards and things like that. So it's all the collateral that you need to do your marketing and to have collateral at the events and things that you are hosting. The next one is the required tools. So for us marketing people, a lot of that would actually be software expenses. I found that a big chunk of my marketing budget used to be the right software for the team to use. And so this should also be about 10% of your budget. And this is everything from your website hosting, marketing software, email marketing, CRM, that sort of thing. And it's really good to review these annually, like really look at where can you consolidate tools, what can you stop using or, consolidate into using it as another tool. Because software subscriptions, I don't know if you've noticed, but, it gets a little bit addictive, getting the next best tool, the next best software to help you with this. And then after long, you have like 50 subscriptions, but they're not kind of working together. They're not being used efficiently. And so really try to like nut this down to the essentials and ask yourself if that can be covered by a free tool or free software or brought into something else that you use. Often, and we'll go into this in more detail, but a lot of the larger platform things that are like more infrastructure, like enrollment software, that shouldn't be coming out of your marketing budget. Try to take that out of your marketing budget because it's benefiting more than just marketing. And I would try to argue for things like website hosting as well to be coming out of your marketing budget. And then I also like to have 10% that is left for experimentation. And so this is not just money to throw away, but as you incorporate new ideas into your budget every year, leave 10% for that. Like, I cannot guarantee that this is going to work or not, but it's 10%. We're going to try this new platform. And if it does work, then the next year you can move it up into a bigger spend. Excuse me, I have building works going on just outside my office. So I'm just going to recap those ratios just because I know my camera went off halfway and we may have missed it. So it's working budget, 60% of your budget. Try to have that wiggle room to really push your marketing budget, to do the heavy lifting, actual marketing, getting your name out there. It's 20% for collateral. It's 10% for required tools, and it's 10% for experimentation and trying new things. Okay, so I'm going to just take a few notes. One is a few additional tips. So one is don't forget about your training. So if your leadership hasn't set aside a separate budget for training, where you can go to conferences, you can do online courses, then unfortunately you're going to have to just account for that in your marketing budget. But don't let it go unattended. Like you should always be investing in your training. And if there's no training budget, then just make a line item for it in your marketing budget. And hopefully that will also open up the chat for you to get some training outside of your marketing budget. But it's really important that both yourself and your team are able to attend training that you feel would grow you as a person. I'd also recommend trying to move infrastructure items outside of your marketing budget. So, I mean, I've seen it all, the things that are put into marketing budgets, but the biggest criminal budget lines for marketing are signage, like front of college signage, or any signage, directional signage. Don't let people just think, oh yeah, that's marketing, and put that in your budget, because that's going to give you no wiggle room to actually market the school. You can't say, hey, we put a sign outside the front of our school and now we got 20 enrollments because of that. It's kind of like an essential. Website rebuilds, try to take that. It's a larger, longer term. It benefits more than just the marketing. Sure, it's one of the main engines of your marketing, but it's also an essential for the visibility of the school. And so try to take that out of the budget. I've seen things like yearbooks. Double check if your parents are already paying for a yearbook. And if they are, then really it should just come out of your marketing budget. And it's, yes, it has some promotional benefit, but really it's something for your current families. So yearbooks and magazines are dependable with how you use those as a marketing tool. You can maybe get those outside of your budget. But really, your job is to be a guard dog for your marketing budget, because you yourself and your team are probably the only marketing professionals on campus. And so everything sounds like marketing if you're not a marketing professional, but really ask yourself, how much of my budget is working for me? And also, trying to remove those bulky items. So ask yourself the question, if you see a big line item on your budget that's always kind of been sitting there, taking out that chunk of your working resources, ask yourself, am I allowed to say no to this? Can I say, no, I don't want to do this next year? And if you can't, and it's kind of like there and it's always been there, then it really shouldn't be in your marketing budget, because you want to be able to go to leadership and say, this is what I made the decisions on, and this is what I've done with our money, rather than having it all tied up in immovable, non-marketing, non-working marketing costs. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at, and I'm glad that my camera hasn't turned off. The next thing I want to look at is where we should invest in 2024. Type in the comments if you are thinking of changing things up for next year. I'd love to know if you're thinking, are you going to stay with what you've done in the past? Have you got a really successful strategy that you think you're just going to maintain and tweak? Or are you really looking to shake things up for next year in order to meet your goals and try new things and stay innovative and ahead of the curve? I'd love to know. The best advice I can give when deciding on whether to have a new expenditure in your marketing budget is to spend according to the expected results. And so a lot of people maybe have unrealistic expectations of, say, for example, the digital marketing. There's that perception that the digital marketing will do the heavy lifting of open event promotions and tour booking promotions. But then when you look at the kind of proportion, they may spend like 10 grand a year on their digital marketing ad spend, versus billboards, they automatically have a 30 grand in their budget because that's just how much billboards cost. But in their minds, they want the digital marketing to do the heavy lifting in terms of getting attendance at open events. So I'm just going to have a look through the comments. So Lucinda, so St. Gregory's College, message retracted, okay. Yes, we can see you. Okay, so no one's commented yet on whether they're going to shake things up or not. That's okay. So yes, we're a digital marketing agency, but I'll just remind everyone that we're marketers overall. In our monthly chats with our clients, we're often discussing broader marketing issues and trying for our schools and our clients to have success from a broad perspective. And so, but what we have seen, and this was a trend that started 8 to 10 years ago already, is a huge shift of marketing budgets into the digital space. And so, yes, you have some principles. Normally, it's the principles that are stuck on those traditional mediums, and they we're always going to advertise on billboards and we're always going to advertise in that really expensive magazine. And unfortunately, some marketers don't have the choice because, principals want to stick in the traditional media presence. But where they do have the choice, we've seen a massive shift to digital marketing. And I think this is wise, given on how, parents are using their marketing budgets. So I'd say digital marketing. So this is also broken up into. I'll just say that your working budget. I'll just go back a step. Your working budget is also broken up into brand building or call to action ad spend. And so you just have to draw a line in your mind when you're deciding on digital marketing mediums. If this campaign is to build a brand, and by brand building, we don't just mean like people know your school, but you're actively working on specific messages and perceptions that you want to change over time. And all of your messaging is working towards that. All of it's call to action ads. And so you're pushing out open events and tours. So Oxford Falls says we are looking for new things to include in their digital marketing for next year. So that's great. We'll give you a few ideas today. Okay, so let's look at the digital market. So there's several platforms that you can decide on, and I'm just going to take a rundown on which ones you should be looking at. So Google Ads, I'll start with Google Ads. And so Google Ads is broken up into search advertising and display advertising. And then the beauty about Google Ads is that before you've even spent a cent or set your marketing budget, you can go take a deep dive either on your own or with an agency into the keyword planner. And there's super accurate, well, at the moment, there's forecasting available. It won't be available next year. So use the tool while it's there. But the keyword planner, the forecasting will tell you exactly what you can expect per click, how many conversions you can expect, how much it will actually recommend how much potential there is in your local geographic area that you want to target and what your budget should be. And so before just kind of making a detached commitment to your Google Ads saying, great, we'll just, allocate 10,000 towards that. Actually take a dive into the keywords that you'd like to rank for and see what it tells you back, how much you should be spending. So we find on average Google Ads is costing us $40 for either an inquiry or a tour booking. And so we find that the thing with Google Ads is it's not a push strategy. It really depends on your local market and how many people are searching for the keywords that you want to rank for. But the conversions there, we see the conversions are very high intent. People are actively searching for a solution. You're coming up in the top of the search results and they're clicking through and they're converting well to both an inquiry, to a booking, and then further down the line into enrollment. So the thing to do with your Google Ads and schools, and this is why we love specializing in education marketing, is because you want to ensure that your Google Ads, what we see in a lot of new accounts that we take over, is that a lot of their keywords and their presence is being wasted because it's most likely current parents that are clicking onto the ads. So we do things like remove the phone numbers from the ads. So it's not just that convenient click to call. We're very careful with the keywords that we target, so it's not coming up for direct brand searches of your school and likely parents that are clicking through to your ads. So yeah, you have to be very careful with the setup for schools on Google Ads. So as I said, look at your objectives. It's around $40 for an inquiry into a booking, and set your budget according to the keyword planner and what it recommends. Meta ads, which includes Facebook and Instagram, very high converting platforms still to this day, especially for schools. Schools is a niche that has come out on top on these platforms because mums are so active on these platforms, whether it be on their local community grapevines, in private groups, or just on the newsfeed in general. School ads are still coming out on tops when we do our trainings. Our conversions are still pretty high compared to other industries that have struggled a bit. So with Meta ads, it's $40 to $100 per inquiry tour booking. It really the cost varies greatly with this one, depending on the density of your local population and also the niche audiences that you're going for. So we have some schools that are very niche or looking for specific year level placements. And so the more niche you go, it's counterintuitive, but the more expensive it's going to get you to cost you to get that specific conversion. So Meta ads is for if you're looking to push out awareness, you're looking to grow, you're in that growth phase. This is it's an aggressive strategy. It helps you to push to cold audiences. People don't have to be looking for you beforehand. And it also allows for a lot of like brand and visual, and we create for our clients, we do like reel ads, we do square videos, we do carousel ads. It's very visual. You can get a lot of messaging and copy out there to help change people's perceptions. So another platform that we've been doing successful campaigns on is LinkedIn ads. There's a growing trend for school principals to really grow their personal brands, and we can't go better than LinkedIn advertising and organic LinkedIn strategies that we've been implementing for our clients. We find that when we do ad spend specifically on LinkedIn, it costs around $100 for an inquiry or tour booking. So it is a little bit more on the expensive side of things, but the conversion rate is very, very high. We find at least a 50% conversion through to enrollment because the nature of the lead is just so much different, and the audience is a very engaged audience. So what you'll see with LinkedIn ads is that you may only get like 10 inquiries a month, but if you track those inquiries through to the finish, that you'll see that they're actually enrolling and they're interested now. Okay, and then programmatic advertising. This is also, programmatic is very broad, from billboards to video advertising to native content. But I'm going to speak very broadly here. We did a webinar a few months back on programmatic advertising that really takes a deep dive into all the different placements and formats available to you. So that's a great starting point if you want to explore a different brand building awareness sort of campaign. We find, so with our objectives on programmatic, for us, it's not necessarily always going to be for a tour booking or an inquiry. It's also getting content out there, brand building, awareness, backing up our other campaigns on other platforms. But generally speaking, around $100 for a tour booking and inquiry. The nice thing about programmatic advertising is that if you have a very niche audience, or if you're a Christian school or a religious school that wants to say specific things that you can't on other platforms, programmatic advertising will help really open up the door for you to say what you'd like to the audience you'd like to reach without those same restrictions. So that's something to be aware of. And then SEO. So still, and I spoke to a client last week that was assuming they were getting all the traffic that they ranked for, and they're like, oh, there's not so many schools in our area, we don't really need to focus on our SEO. And then we took a dive. It's really easy. It takes 5 minutes to do. You can see for the keywords, private schools, Sydney, how many people are searching for that keyword. And then you can look at your website and say, how much traffic are we getting for that keyword? And that will really open your eyes in terms of, do we need to be focusing on our SEO? Typically, so SEO is free, but it's hard work and it's long term. So agency typically charges around $1,000 a month, and that's all the cost that it will cost you to get it to work, to do consistent work every single month. And you should have specific objectives. So with SEO, you're not necessarily always going to be looking at, am I ranking #1 for this keyword? But it's more taking a step back and understanding, are we driving more traffic because of our portfolio of content and the portfolio of keywords that we're ranking for? And so the keywords that rank at #1 may change, but is our portfolio growing, and is our traffic of new cold audiences that we've never reached before, is that growing continuously month to month? And a good SEO strategy should cost you around $1,000 a month. Lucinda, can you give an example of what you would like to what you would do on LinkedIn? Okay, a call to action on a post by head of school, link to some other action. Okay, so LinkedIn strategies, so direct like open event campaigns, like register for an open event, doesn't necessarily work on LinkedIn. Audience building campaigns do work. So if you're having a seminar for parents on parenting issues, LinkedIn is a perfect platform. If some of the strategies that we've recommended, we also did a webinar on LinkedIn, so I'm trying to refresh my memory from that, but there's a really in-depth dive into the possibilities of LinkedIn. But what we find is building the principals profile, so newsletters and things like that on the organic side of things. What we do is we'll cut out square videos of presentations, educational videos. We more talk about our values and our philosophy, and we push that out to cold audiences. And even in that, we're not putting a direct call to action in on that content. We're just influencing people's perceptions. LinkedIn also has the amazing ability for you to build your email list. In some of the strategies that we've built, where we drive the individual connections of our school's leaders, and you can build your email lists that way. And then the email side of things is where you start saying, hey, we'd love to invite you to a tour or an open event. So we don't necessarily have that strong call to action unless it's like an event registration. Then we're pushing for leads, direct leads from a platform. Okay. So that covers the digital side of things. I hope that gives you an approximation of what you should expect for your ad spend. I will say that if you've been running digital ads and you don't know how much it's costing you to get that tour booking, it's not trackable, that there's something broken, you need to fix that, because you need to know, because clicks in social media land especially mean nothing. You can get 6 cents clicks or 5 cent clicks. I can do that all day, every day. But really, the optimization and the conversion is what counts. And you really want to be going for those conversion campaigns, having unique thank you pages for your campaigns, and knowing exactly how many of those people are going through to enrollment. When we chat with our clients at the end of each month, we're going through the leads that they got and the registrar's comments against them, and we're just trying to understand how good is the fit. And it takes us a few months to kind of tweak and go back and forth just to get that adjustment right, so that they're consistently getting good quality leads. Okay, so looking at traditional marketing, and yes, we're a digital agency, but there's some traditional marketing that I absolutely recommend, and I want you to be putting a chunk of your budget towards, because you want a whole portfolio. You want to be reaching people where they're at in different ways. Yes, I believe in traditional marketing. Do I think a lot of schools just waste their budget and do the things that they've always been doing? Yes. So I want to try and help you to maybe decide on what to be spending your money on. Okay, so things like leaflet drops, if they're done well, I think they can be successful. Or like individual mail outs, where it's a unique envelope addressed to that person. Those are more costly campaigns, but they can have a bit more cut through. The thing you want to look at when deciding on flyers is, if you're going to do it properly. So don't just say, oh, I don't really want to do flyer distribution. Okay, great, I'll just spend 6,000 and do a few thousand distribution, a 30,000 distribution in my local area in August of the year, and it's not really tied into a broader strategy. So frequency actually does count. So if you're going to do it, try to do it 2 to 3 times in the year, and yeah, to the same geographic location. So that does work, and it gets the cut through. And also, don't just do a distribution of like your immediate neighborhood, 20,000, 10,000 to 20,000 people, thinking that that's going to cut it. You really have to be thinking upwards 30 to 50,000 numbers, in terms of distribution. So the more you pay for the distribution, unfortunately, the more quality is going to be, the higher quality that distribution is going to be. There's a huge difference between, no accountability distribution that may be put in with like a whole stack of junk mail, and it's literally going to go from the pavement into the dustbin, to trackable individual leaflet drops where yours is the only one being distributed. And I've tested both. I've been like, surely it doesn't matter. Surely I can save some money. But over the years of my testing, I've seen, okay, the more expensive ones do pay off. So you can do ones that are tracked, and you may have to weigh up, maybe decreasing the amount that you distribute to get a higher quality distribution, if that works for you. But I'd also recommend tying it into your digital campaign. So having a landing page for your leaflet, having a SMS to register or SMS for more, the website or a QR code. QR codes are back in and they work. So having a QR code and a specific landing page for your campaign. So what you can do is, if you're planning a few traditional media campaigns, like you're going to do a billboard ad and a flyer distribution, you can have a landing page built for these campaigns that you can replicate for the specific each one, with the same look and feel, but then different calls to actions for the different leaflet drops or, billboards and things like that. And that just gives you a really good measuring point of like, how much traffic did we actually drive because of this campaign. Okay, and yes, it's not going to be 100% accurate because people will just visit your website after seeing it, but it will start to give you an indication. So if you're not seeing, another point with leaflet drops is to have someone in the local area, 3 or 4 families in the different areas, teed up to tell you when they received that brochure and when they got it, how they got it, that sort of thing, just so you can get that on the ground feedback. Great. Print advertising. I did a reel training last week on how to decide on magazine advertising. I think we posted that to the Marketing Mastery for Education group. So have a look at that. Yes, magazine ads can be worth it, but is it worth it to just advertise in magazines that you've always done or that your principal's asking you to advertise in that's not actually working? No. So really be critical on the magazines that you decide on, and try to cut out the ones that are wasting your money, because I know it's 5 or 6 grand a pop to be in 100 magazines with 100 different listings. Try to think about what a working budget would look like for you, and maybe that's not it. Billboards, amazing. We've worked on a few billboard campaigns for our clients this year. We have one of Australia's largest distributions. We work with all the different billboard companies, and we do programmatic digital billboards for our clients. And we've seen a few different strategies for schools. What I do recommend is, if you're a larger school with a very large budget, they tend to say, I want the premium billboards on the motorways. I want to just blast those billboards. And great, you have the money to do that. But what you can do is, we recommend really not taking for granted those hyper local locations. So having, for the large outbound traffic, yes, getting the big strategic billboards on the motorways, but then getting in the nitty gritty and the hyper local targeting and petrol station advertising, shopping center advertising, doctors' waiting rooms, all those smaller places that people take for granted. They're very affordable to reach. I would save some of your budget to go hyper local as well, because it can have just as big impact as the massive billboards can. There are also, in terms of the waiting time, people's attention span, all of that. Don't just assume that thousands of cars driving past your billboards is better than 50 people in a local doctor's waiting room seeing your ad. And then radio, again, we've had some winners and some losers. I've won and lost my own budget on radio, and so you really just have to be careful which radio station. I will say that schools are unfortunately again victim to radio stations that pry on schools, and so they'll have one school ad after the next playing on that same radio station, and they're not actually getting the cut through that they need. So it is important that your radio station isn't overly saturated with schools or trying to, because schools are an easy target for advertising, unfortunately. Great. If you have any questions from that, let me know. And I hope that helps you to decide where to spend your money. I want to spend some time talking about what to do with a smaller budget. But I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to decide, just to ask any questions there, just so that I don't move on topics. I'll just make sure. So we've answered that LinkedIn question. So I'll just comment before I move on. I'll give you some time to ask any questions. But I will say that I've worked with both budgets. I've worked with really small budgets. I've worked with no budget. I've worked with larger budgets where I've really felt the weight of spend. Really felt the weight of that. Like, oh wow, I've never spent that much money. And so equally, I love both sides of things. Like, who doesn't love some money to splash? But also, I really took pride. I'm a very frugal sort of spender, and I take the responsibility of spending money very seriously. And so I really did take pride in how I spent those smaller budgets as well. Any thoughts on directories? I'm not a huge fan, and I've been there where we had the directory on our desk every year, costs $6,000 or whatever it costs these days to advertise. Yes, they could show some of their web traffic was pointing traffic to our website. But then when I started Googling, I was like, oh, wait a second, their search results are over the top of my search results. And so therefore, when I thought about it, I was like, well, if I spend that money directly on SEO, I can get ahead of their traffic and get all of that traffic to my website rather than essentially paying my competitors to rank above me, because that's what they do. They just they've got great SEO teams. They use the bulk of all the different schools to up their SEO value, so they are number one for things like private schools Brisbane or private schools Sydney, all the main keywords. And that's why they can say, look, we're pointing traffic to your site because a small fraction of the traffic that they attracted happened to click on your site. And so and it's hard to make these decisions because you're just not going to be there. But once you take the plunge and you step away and you're like, oh, we're not actually losing any enrollments at the end of that. So some of them are good, some of them are bad. I did do a reel, that reel that I did on magazine advertising goes into it and how to make those decisions. But I really do like, publications that have a community of their own. If they're really engaged with the community, if they're working hard, if they're producing quality content both in a magazine and online, then yes, I'm willing to spend my advertising money. And also, instead of a directory listing, maybe look for a publication that offers like EDMs and like sponsored email content out, and like a variety of listings instead of just being a print ad. I honestly can't tell you the last time I read a magazine properly, and I subscribe to a few. So it depends. I've never looked at the directory ones, by the way. Let me see, any other questions? Bundaberry digital directories for SEO. Again, I would be just working on my SEO and putting that money into an SEO strategy directly so that you're not paying your competitors to rank above you, because that's what you're doing. And I used to get quite heated about this when looking at the numbers. Cinema advertising. Oh my goodness. Regional families. Oi, I'm not a big fan, and I don't want to speak negatively against companies because I've had a chat to a few of my clients who swear by their cinema ads and they love them, and they run their cinema ads differently to what I
was duped into when I was a school marketer. But I'll just say the audience volume is not there these days. I will say you really have to just, take a Saturday afternoon and go with your family to the movie that you want to see and just look at the volume of people in there and then do the calculations for every day and ask yourself, like the way we assess advertising platforms is CPM. So how much is it going to cost me to reach 1,000 people? And you'll probably find that cinema ads to reach 1,000 people is like $1,000, whereas it normally costs around $15 for social media. For both Google and Meta, it's $15 to reach 1,000 people at the moment. So cinema ads, be careful of what they did to us was they said, yes, we rotate the ad placement, so your ad won't always be the first. But I actually missed our own ads trying to go see them in the cinema because it was like right smack bang in the middle when no one's there. Smack bang at the start when no one's arrived for the cinema movie yet. And that was their local fee, the local lower cost fees that schools can generally afford are allocated that very first spot for those local businesses that don't have a massive budget. So if you want to get the people think, great, I can get on a cinema ad and it's going to be this high value production, and the local ads aren't placed with all the other ads. You'll see that your local ads are placed in a special segmented spot where there's no one actually in the cinemas. So yes, but someone may run it differently. What about strategies for and ideas for schools with international students? You really can't go wrong with online for international students. SEO is huge. Specific content is huge. Video production, events, but digital marketing is able to on LinkedIn, Meta ads, Google search, keywords. All of those strategies are what we've helped our international schools target specific audiences in different locations. Really strong. What works for international students is online events and webinars. Just as an introduction, I mean, sure, you may have the budget to be sending people over to all these different international enrollment events, but also if you want to build your own audiences and get there directly, online events are amazing for international students. What do you consider a healthy budget for school? I laugh because I wanted to give you the percent where they say that school should be spending anywhere between, I think it was 2 and 10% of their revenue on marketing. And I was like, that for some schools equates to $3 million. So like hands up if you have a $3 million budget. I say a healthy budget, depending on who you're competing with, is around 100,000. Is a really middle line. If you have below that, you're low budget, and if you have 200 to 300,000, you're fortunate, and you have some wiggle room. But having said that, we've worked with regional Christian schools. Literally, all they have is 50,000, and they're very proud of that. And that's what they have, and that's the biggest that they've ever been in terms of committing to their marketing. And you know what? After their first year of spending that 50,000, well, they will see that they'll have more budget to allocate next year because they've spent it well and they're growing. So I say 100 to 200,000 is a healthy school budget. Excluding salaries and your marketing department. Okay. So what to do with smaller budget? So one is look at different ways of achieving the same result. So you may not have the budget to do billboards. And also I will just say on billboards is many people think, okay, I can afford that massive billboard and we're just going to do a 2-week campaign. And that doesn't work. Billboards, you have to have the budget to be able to do it consistently over a long time. So if you can only afford a 2-week stint on this massive billboard, think about a different strategy, okay? But yeah, so look at different ways of doing the same thing. So if you can't afford billboards, what else is available to you outdoors? Partnerships with small businesses. Flagpole banners used to be a fraction of the cost of billboards. If you can't afford to do individual mail outs to families and targeted mail outs, do leaflet drops. They're a lot more affordable. You're doing the same thing in a different way, in a more affordable way. So St. Gregory's College, what do you have a ratio for $1 student to get to enrollment? So to enrollment, it should cost you a healthy amount, should be around $200 to get an enrollment. If you have an effective whole system that's working for you, if you're starting out your marketing, often it's around $500 to get an enrollment after all is said and done and the various touch points and events attended and things like that. And so that's where you want to look at look at the working budget part of your marketing and calculate what are you achieving for that working budget part, and try to take out all those immovable, like the collaterals and the signage and the stuff that's going to be there or not be there, and doesn't affect your enrollments. Look at that working part of your budget. So the next thing to do if you're on a smaller budget is to build your own platform. So this is a strategy that we continuously are implementing with our schools, and this is why our work is very labor intensive, because we go deep rather than wide. We're not plastering ads all over the place and not caring what the result is. We're helping each school to build their platform. So you're building your email lists, you're building your layers of audiences and retargeting them, and having your pixels on your websites and layering your communications. And you have a CRM with a registrar that's taking notes on the different touch points and where families are at. And then you're re-engaging with them with segmented email marketing and touch points, calling them back at the right time. So build your platform. If you have a small marketing budget, this is the most cost-effective thing that you can do, because the way I looked at it when I had a small budget was, if I can own the local audience, like say every family is on my email list, no matter if they've got a newborn or someone who's just getting ready to go to school, if they're on my email list, I can reach them through email marketing, through remarketing at a much lower cost than it is going to be for me to reach them on a billboard, have them drive past and have no touch points to re-engage them. So really build out the whole network, build your infrastructure, focus on the website strength, your SEO strength, your opt-ins on your website and your email list. And if you just take a year to build that infrastructure out properly, it's going to dramatically lower your marketing spend. Another point is for you to really clean out things from your budget that aren't marketing. Especially try to get that ratio right of like 60% of your budget is actually going towards you getting more enrollments. It's ad spend to get you more enrollments. Signage, printing of prospectuses, that sort of thing. Internal events are also another culprit of stealing our marketing budget. And then another thing is to address unrealistic expectations. So as I said before, often ourselves and our team are the only marketing professionals on the campus. And yes, all these people have amazing skills in education that we don't have. And sometimes they speak gibberish to us and we don't understand what they're talking about. But we are the people that are going to bring them realistic results and expectations regarding their marketing. And so if they are saying, let's allocate $10,000 towards social media advertising, and they're expecting to fill 4 open events through the year, maybe you need to address that. So take a step back, say, okay, we want 100 people at each event. Say 40 of those people are attracted naturally by putting it on our website. So we want to get 60 registrations, 60 families at each event. It's going to cost us $40 to $100 to get a registration, and calculate it out and make a realistic budget. Okay, how to talk to leadership about your budget is the last thing that I want to address. So one is to show examples of what others are doing. This is a very effective strategy because principals and leaders have pride and they want to think that they're innovating and they're present and they've seen for the amazing work that they're doing. And so if there's a school next to you that is putting forward an amazing campaign and they've actually got budget to spend for it, show your leadership that just to make them aware of what other people are doing. 2, don't just ask for money, have a plan. So go in there saying, this is the plan, this is how much it's going to cost us, this is an expected result, this is how we're going to track it, and I'm going to keep you updated halfway point through the campaign just to let you know how it's going. And yeah, that will get a yes over, oh, I overspent my budget, can I get 20,000 extra to finish the year? And on that point, get ahead of the conversation. So talk to them now, probably talk to them 2 months ago as well. Talk to them now before they've kind of had their behind the door leadership chats and said, okay, great, we're just going to do the same old thing with our marketing. Here's the budget. That's what we always do. That's the realistic amount. If there's no consultation and they're just setting your budget and handing it down to you, then likely that it's probably the wrong amount. And you need to get ahead of that conversation. Leaders are notorious for doing this, and I don't blame them. Schools are very busy places, but what they'll do is they'll walk in halfway through the year and then they'll have like a new project or a new focus area or something different that they want to focus on. And that means you have to kind of like, well, am I sticking with my marketing budget or we're doing this new thing that we're going to like throw together and try to make successful for you. And so if they are bringing in new ideas halfway through the year, just ask the question, do you have a budget for that? Or are we changing something that we're currently doing to make this work? Because you don't want to be throwing workload and effort onto your plate if you don't have the budget to support a successful campaign. And then the last thing is to always just show what you do, show your progress, have a reporting dashboard, be able to tell them how much it's costing them per tour booking, per enrollment inquiry, have the numbers there for them and show off your results in as much detail as possible. And yes, it takes a day or two, and it's tedious, and yes, it's hard, and you have to build infrastructure and measurement tools to be able to do it. But it's worth it because once you have it built, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You know how to build campaigns that are measurable, and you can then show data and success. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more things to remember, and then I think we're done. I do want to mention that, yes, we're talking about budget. I mean, talking about using your budget effectively, but I also want to say don't always look at lowering the cost per click or the cost per conversion, because we've seen it over and over and over again that a lower cost per click doesn't always equate to a quality audience. And so look at the cost per click in correlation with the conversions you're getting and that data that you have and the notes from your registrar, if those people are converting through or not. And often we've seen a campaign where the cost per click may be going up, and we think, oh, I'm going to switch this, or we're going to do something to change it. But then we talk to the client, and they're like, man, the leads that we're getting are absolutely amazing, and they're converting, and like just send us more people like that, please. And so we're like, okay, let's keep it as is. And so I often see people think, oh, I need to lower the cost per click. That's not a metric that should be looked at on its own. Another thing is to consider how niche your audiences are. So if you're going for very specific audiences, it's going to cost you more. And so what I see schools try to do is they try to have a kindy campaign, a year 2 campaign, a year 7 campaign, scholarships, and all of those are niches. And so if you want to, and sure, you can go for niches if you have the budget and that they're very successful. But if you have a low budget, try to broaden out the targeting and then drive a specific call to action like book a personal tour. And so try to keep if you want to get lower conversions, try to broaden out your targeting and not segment your efforts so much. Okay, so I'll answer Freshwater's question now. And then also my last point here is just to leave that 10% in your budget for testing. Try new platforms. So Freshwater asked, do you have a recommendation for dashboard? Yes, Looker Studio is a free tool, but also you need software called Supermetrics if you want to pull in data from various different sources. So get an agency to build a dashboard for you if you don't want to pay. I think it's 1,500 subscription. The agency will have a group subscription to that software, and you can pull in data from Meta ads, Google website, LinkedIn, all your organic SEO, and then have the agency go through and say, this is a landing page for tour bookings, this is a landing page for inquiries, these are button clicks that are important throughout our website, and also build out some UTM parameters for like leaflets and things like that. So they'll have like a standardized way of labeling all your conversions for your report and give you the links to use on your brochures, and then you can pull it into Looker Studio, and it really helps. If you don't want to do a dashboard, because with dashboards, you know, there are data discrepancies and errors in data, and yeah, just maybe like try have a CRM that is well maintained, that you can have a way of working out with your registrar. Okay, when that person actually goes through to an enrollment, are you marking them this way on the CRM? So that way you can just go in and pull out the data that you need. Okay, so that's it. I will just share a little bit about what we do as an agency. So we do private schools marketing, we do education marketing. This is a niche that we've been working on. And so if you are planning any campaigns for 2024 and beyond, and you'd like to know what should I be spending on a platform, what can I expect in terms of results, what we do is a deep dive for our potential clients to go in and say, for example, we'll go in on Google Ads and say you should be paying this for your keywords that you want to target, and this is what your Google Ads budget should be, or this is what you should be spending on Meta ads. This is the audience size. This is the targeting options. Then yeah, we are happy to set up a consultation or a free chat with you. There's no commitment to the chat. It's full of value. And so you can just visit our website and click the book a chat, or you can go to the education marketing tab just to find some case studies of the work that we've done. As I said, our SEO starts at 1,000 a month. Our paid media ads start at 1,500. And if you want us to look after your full campaigns, like 2 campaigns at a time for you across your digital marketing, email, and CRM, it's around 2,200 a month. And yeah, we're getting great consistent results for our clients, and it means that your time is then freed up to focus on the ground on your marketing, and you can know exactly that this is looked after for you, and we're looking after it for you, and you're not trying things. We're actually accountable to get you results, and we have experience in getting you results. So on my website, there's also that article on is magazine advertising effective, where I take a deep dive into your magazine advertising and making those decisions. Great. I'd love to hear from you. Book a chat if you'd like to. We are filling up, and we are talking about next year with our current clients, and so we'd love to add you to the list. And thank you for joining today's training. I'm just going to do a last check if there's any more questions. Any more questions? I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it. If you don't have any questions, we'll finish the live stream. I'll just give you 2 minutes to type any questions if you have them. Okay, I think that's it. Susie Thank you, Susie. Lovely to have you. Lovely to have you join us. Thanks, Jessica. Lovely to have you. Thanks, Nicole. Thank you to Toowoomba Christian College. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.